This is basically a boss fighting game with guns that takes place in a frozen wasteland. What makes it different from other shooters is that the whole game is just boss fights. There are no regular enemies wandering around. It's just you jumping from one intense boss battle to the next. The game mixes the loot collection that you find in loot shooters with the precise timing combat you'd find in Dark Souls. But everything happens much faster since you're constantly dashing and sliding around. The main idea is pretty simple but gets more complicated fast. You fight a boss, hopefully win, grab some new weapons and perks from the remains, and then move on to the next fight. When you die, you lose everything except some progression points that you can spend on a skill tree. Each run feels different because the weapons and perks you find are random. So you can end up with a build focused on setting everything on fire, or a build with practically unlimited ammo. As for the combat system, it's pretty decent actually. Instead of just shooting until enemies die, you have to watch for visual cues when bosses are about to attack. When you see a flash, you can shoot at exactly the right moment to interrupt their attack and deal extra damage. The timing here is really strict and different for each boss. Perhaps some of the telegraphing needs to be optimized here. You can also dash and slide around to avoid attacks. And there's a melee system for close combat. What's unusual is how the game handles weapons. You are not upgrading one gun throughout the game. You are consistently finding new ones with random stats and attachments. The same goes for perks, which are like permanent upgrades that stack on top of each other. You can get one that makes you move faster, another that gives you shields, and a third that makes explosions bigger. The game's setting is this destroyed city called Erebus, where some kind of apocalyptic war happened. The world has this rusty industrial look covered in snow and weird technology. You are playing as some kind of enhanced soldier or android, trying to make sense of what happened while fighting through all the leftover war machines and experiments. One of the more creative features is that you can actually build your own final boss using parts from enemies you have defeated. So if you beat a boss that shoots lasers and another that creates tornadoes, you can combine those abilities into your custom final boss fight. This means each playthrough can end with a completely different challenge, based on what you encountered along the way. The game uses 3 special weapon types called Rupture, Rhapsody and Reverie that seem to be more powerful than regular guns. From what I can tell, these are tied to the story somehow and unlock as you progress further into the game. The whole experience is designed around replaying the same basic loop, but with enough randomization that each run feels fresh. The game does have a bit of a steep learning curve. The timing for countering attacks is really precise and varies between different bosses, which can potentially make it frustrating until you learn each enemy's patterns. The visual effects are also pretty intense with lots of particle effects and screen shake, which some people like and some don't. Keep in mind that the game's story seems to exist mainly to give context for why you're fighting all these bosses. It's of course not the main focus. And that sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.